Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung's warning is as true today as it was a century ago. Have you ever felt as if something unseen was pulling the strings in your life, steering your choices, repeating the same mistakes? And it wasn't really you in control? Maybe it's the sudden anger you can't explain, the envy you try to hide, or the patterns in relationships you swore you'd never repeat. What if these aren't random flaws, but signs of a hidden force inside you, ancient, powerful, and silent, shaping every step you take? Jung discovered this force, and he spent his life mapping its depths. Ignoring it, he warned, is like walking blindfolded through a minefield. Because this force doesn't just live in you. In many ways, it is you. And until you confront it, you'll never truly be free. Carl Jung was not a typical psychologist. Born in Switzerland in 1875, he grew up surrounded by religious symbols, rituals, and an atmosphere thick with mystery. Even as a child, he sensed that life held a depth that could not be explained by logic alone. Years later, he became Sigmund Freud's brightest disciple, but also the one who dared to challenge him. While Freud believed human behavior revolved mainly around repressed sexual desires, Jung saw something far greater: deep layers of the psyche shaped by symbols, myths, and the shared memory of humanity. Where Freud looked to the recent past, Jung peered thousands of years back, tracing the roots of our inner life to the dawn of civilization. His goal was not merely to treat mental illness, but to reconnect people to their true essence. Jung believed the human psyche was a living, dynamic system of opposites: light and shadow, reason and emotion, masculine and feminine. For him, suffering was not a mistake, but a call to transformation. This vision gave birth to analytical psychology, a path not of erasing what's wrong in us, but of integrating what has been hidden, denied, and rejected. Because to Jung, the greatest danger was not pain, it was unconsciousness. Most people believe their thoughts, feelings, and fears are entirely their own, the result of personal memories, upbringing, and culture. But Carl Jung revealed a deeper truth. Beneath the surface of the individual mind lies a vast, ancient layer that belongs to no single person, yet influences us all. He called it the collective unconscious. Imagine your mind as a small island. Everything you've lived is there: your memories, your traumas, your joys. But beneath that island is a vast, dark ocean shared by all of humanity, filled with patterns, images, and symbols formed over thousands of years. These are the myths, the heroes, the monsters, and the journeys that repeat themselves in every civilization, in every age. They are not mere inventions of culture, but reflections of the human soul itself. When you fear abandonment, when you long to belong, when you struggle to rise above yourself, you are moving under the influence of forces far older than you. Ignoring the collective unconscious is like ignoring gravity. Whether or not you believe in it, it shapes your relationships, your choices, and the cycles you repeat, until you realize you are not just wrestling with your own ghosts, but with the ghosts of all humanity. At some point in your life, you've met your shadow, even if you didn't recognize it. It appears in the moments you regret most, in the anger that explodes without warning, in the envy you quickly deny, in the judgments you hurl at others without seeing yourself in them. Carl Jung believed that every person carries within them a dark side, not evil in the cartoonish sense, but a collection of everything we reject, repress, and hide. Your shadow is made up of impulses you were taught to suffocate, desires you were told were wrong, and weaknesses you learned to conceal to be accepted. The more you try to bury it, the stronger it becomes, influencing your life from the shadows. It disguises itself in projections, making you see in others what you refuse to face in yourself. This is why Jung warned: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Denying the shadow keeps you trapped, repeating the same patterns, sabotaging relationships, and fleeing from opportunities, often without knowing why. But the shadow is not only destructive. Within it lies raw energy, creative potential, and power waiting to be integrated. The path to freedom is not to destroy your shadow, but to face it, understand it, and reclaim the parts of yourself you've long abandoned. Most people spend their lives trying to fit in, pleasing parents, meeting social expectations, conforming to cultural standards. In the process, They mold themselves into masks, hiding what doesn't fit and silencing the parts of them that feel too dangerous to show. But beneath that polished exterior lives a constant restlessness, a sense that something essential is missing. Carl Jung called the absence of this missing piece a failure of individuation. Individuation is not about self-improvement slogans or chasing your best version. It is the deep, often painful process of becoming whole, of integrating your shadow, uniting your inner opposites, and stepping beyond the mask Jung called the persona. It means letting illusions die so something more authentic can be born. Individuation forces you to accept that you are both light and darkness, courage and fear, wisdom and foolishness. It demands that you stop blaming others for your life and take responsibility for it. The process doesn't happen all at once. It comes in moments of crisis, in loss, in endings, in identity shattering, each time offering the chance to be reborn. Jung warned that the encounter with the true self is always a defeat for the ego. But for those who have the courage to walk this path, the reward is freedom, the kind that comes only when you stop living to be accepted and start living to be whole. In the modern world, dreams are often dismissed as meaningless, random noise from the brain as we sleep. But Carl Jung saw them as the voice of the psyche, speaking in a language far older than words. Every night, when the conscious mind rests, the unconscious awakens and begins to communicate through images, symbols, and stories. Dreams, Jung believed, are not trivial. They are attempts to restore balance within us, sending warnings, guidance, and reminders when we drift too far from our true center. That dream of falling when your life feels out of control, the recurring image of teeth breaking when you feel powerless, the mysterious figure who appears again and again, none of these are accidents. The soul speaks in symbols. A house may represent your inner self. A snake may signal transformation. A mirror may confront you with the part of yourself you don't want to see. To ignore dreams is to ignore your inner compass, leaving you lost in the maze of life without a guide. Jung urged us to pay attention, to write our dreams down, reflect on their symbols, and listen for the patterns that connect them. For in decoding the language of dreams, we begin to hear the voice of the soul calling us back to wholeness. Have you ever caught yourself acting in ways that felt strangely unfamiliar, as if another part of you had taken over? Have you noticed that you keep attracting the same type of person, reliving the same kind of conflict, or telling yourself the same story over and over? Carl Jung believed this happens because within each of us live archetypes, universal patterns of behavior and emotion inherited from the collective unconscious. They are not learned from culture. They are ancient structures of the psyche, born with us and as old as humanity itself. The hero, for example, drives us to overcome challenges and seek greatness. The wise one pushes us toward truth and understanding. The wounded child seeks love but fears rejection. The shadow holds everything we've tried to deny. And then there are the anima and animus, the feminine in men and the masculine in women. Energies that must be integrated for us to feel whole. These archetypes are not passive ideas. They have power. When an archetype dominates your psyche unconsciously, it can possess you, taking the wheel of your life without your permission. Recognizing them is the first step toward taking back control. Because once you learn to see which archetype is speaking through you, you stop being a character in someone else's story and start becoming the author of your own. We live in an age of constant connection, yet we have never felt more disconnected. Surrounded by limitless information, we drift without direction, exhausted by comparison, numbed by distraction. Modern life promised us freedom, but delivered anxiety. It promised belonging, but left us feeling unseen. Beneath the noise, a quiet question echoes in millions of minds. Who am I, really? Carl Jung's work feels more urgent now than ever because he saw this coming. He warned that modern society would seduce us into living entirely in the persona, the mask we wear to be admired, promoted, accepted, while our deeper self withers in neglect. He knew that when we ignore the shadow, it controls us. When we dismiss our dreams, we sever the bridge to the unconscious. When we laugh at symbols and myths, we throw away the map to our own soul. Today's crises of identity, the rise of anxiety and depression, the hollowing out of relationships, these are symptoms of a culture that has forgotten how to turn inward. Jung was not a guide for calm and easy times. He was a guide for moments like this, when the outer world loses meaning and the only way forward is into the depths of the self. You are not broken. You are fragmented. The missing pieces are still within you, waiting to be reclaimed. Jung's work reminds us that the journey toward wholeness begins the moment we stop running from ourselves. Inner transformation is not an abstract idea. It is a choice, made in moments of honesty, when you decide you can no longer live on autopilot. It demands courage to confront the shadow, patience to listen to dreams, and humility to see through the illusions of the persona. This path is not easy. It will strip away false identities and force you to face truths you've avoided for years. But on the other side of that discomfort lies a freedom nothing external can give you. Jung warned that once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. And that is the gift. Awareness is irreversible. From that moment on, life stops being a series of unconscious repetitions and becomes a conscious creation. The first step is small but vital. The decision to turn inward and meet yourself fully, without fear. Carl Jung once said that what we do not make conscious will continue to shape our lives, and we will call it fate. Now that you know this, you cannot go back to ignorance. The patterns, the shadows, the symbols, they are all part of you, and they are calling to be seen. The question is, will you answer? This is your invitation to stop hiding, to stop living behind the mask, and to begin the work of becoming whole. Ask yourself, what part of my shadow have I been avoiding? Speak it, write it, bring it into the light, because the moment you do, you take back the power it has over you. If this message stirred something in you, don't let that spark fade. Continue the journey. Keep asking, keep uncovering, keep walking toward the self you've always been but have never fully met. This is only the beginning.